Ladies and gentlemen, not surprisingly, there's quite a bit of nomenclature on the final. We've done quite a bit of nomenclature this semester. Naming the following. Now, normally we need our ions, but for the simple namings, you don't. This one you can read. Aluminum is an ion that's always 3+. Iodide's an ion that's always 3-, but they've already balanced them for you to come up with a formula. You just need to know the name of the cation is the name of the element that's first. And the name of the anion ends with IDE. Similarly, K, and there's 2 students that took the last test that did not yet know the potassium was K. This was very disturbing because that's a very common element we use in chemistry. So potassium is the K, and SO4 2- is one of our ions that we're supposed to know, and that never goes away, everybody, is sulfate. So that's like an aside right there, a little aside. Potassium sulfate's the name. This next one, you better use your ions. NO3. About 4 of us thought NO3 had a charge that wasn't -1 on the last test. I was not happy to see that at all. That is our most common anion, I think, that we've used lately. It's 1-. Lead is the variable. Question mark plus. We don't know what it is. But we know there's 4 nitrate ions in the formula because it says so. Each nitrate ion has a -1 charge. The total of the minuses is now -1, -1, -1, -1. That's 4, -4. There's only 1 lead there to balance -4. So what's the lead's charge? 4+. How do you say lead has a 4+ charge? An I with a V. And then it's nitrate is the name of the ion. Got to know that. Not going to be given. Hasn't been given all semester. The next one, please don't look for ions. Don't tell me this is sulfite ion because you know SO3 is a sulfite ion. No, sulfite is SO3 with a 2-. It's a whole different species. It doesn't behave at all like this molecule. This molecule is created when we burn sulfur in our fuel. And it becomes SO3, which reacts in the air to become sulfuric acid. We call that acid rain. TMI, I know. Okay, this is a binary compound that has only non-metals in it. Okay? You name it like you see it. Binary compounds with only non-metals. Non-metals to the right of the staircase, remember? Staircase of the periodic table. So we had a question in the back. Somebody? We have to use the prefixes, the Latin prefixes for this. The first element, you don't put mono if it's needed. So you don't put monosulfur. You put sulfur. Next one definitely has to have a prefix. If it's 1, you put mono. If it's 2, you put di. If it's 3, it's 3 right here. You put tri. And name the other element like it's an anion. Oxide. I want to repeat though, or make sure it's clear though, that it is not an anion. It's named like one, but it isn't one. Okay? Final answers are all highlighted here. Yeah, aluminum iodide, potassium sulfate, lead 4 nitrate, sulfur trioxide, HBr. Now, technically, it's only got this name when it's this HBr. It's a binary acid. What do I mean by that? Binary acid? Well, it's got H plus in front. That means it's an acid. Most of the class did not know that on test 3. Acids start with H. Okay? Binary acids have the prefix hydro. Hydro. And they end with ic acid. You fill in the blank. The element was bromine. You lose the INE. So it's hydrobromic. B-R-O-M-I-C, acid. Final answer. Next one down is another acid. How do you know it's an acid? H listed first. This one's a weak acid. And you do need to know this ion is called acetate. And you do need to know those also end with ic acid. 8 ions become ic acids, but you don't put hydro in front. Okay? This is with a polyatomic. You just name the ion without the 8. There's your answer. Looking for my highlighter. Pink's good. 8 ions become ic acids. What ions become OUS acids? Just for future reference. We're not going to do that one right now, but those go together. If you have an 8 ion in an acid, it becomes an ic acid. If you have an 8 ion in an acid, it becomes an OUS acid. Attic-itis. Itis. Naming disease. This is just a polyatomic ion question, but it happens to be a base. How do I know it's a base? It's got hydroxide in it. Yeah. So it ends with hydroxide. And the NH4 ion is what? Yeah. Ammonium hydroxide. There's our only polyatomic, our ionic molecule. Only ionic molecule without a metal. Yeah. Doesn't have a metal cation, does it? Ammonium's the only one that does that. Okay. Having fun yet? Naming's not fun, but it's necessary. Sodium phosphide. Hey, that's a binary. Binary because it's just atom and an element ending with "ide." You need your ions now. All I'm going to do for the next 2 minutes is ions only. I'm not doing any formulas. What's the sodium ion? Na? I need its charge. What's the phosphide ion? It's an element. And it needs 3 more electrons to have a full octet. 3 from the end is what I should have said. Yeah. Oxygen is the next one, it's 2 minus. Cl is the next one, it's 1 minus. I'm looking at the periodic table doing this. I'm not memorizing that in my head, that's crazy. If you haven't used the periodic table as a tool to memorize the ions, that's why it's been so hard. Okay? So now you mix and match to get the balanced formula. What do you have? Just give me an answer. Na3P. And zinc is an ion that we just had to learn. It's an oddball. Its position on the table doesn't tell us. What's its charge? 2 plus. This is a 2 to 3. It's got a polyatomic. Got a polyatomic, so we're going to need a parenthesis. Zinc, parenthesis, PO4. I know I messed up. It's okay. There's 3 zincs, 2 PO4s. Wow. I didn't want the zoom in rectangle. It's very zoomed in. Okay. I have no idea what I did there. I don't want to try it again. Hey, tungsten. You gotta find it on the periodic table. It's not one you've looked at very often, so it's gonna take time. Yeah. No. No, it's titanium. Don't forget, all the elements after number 20 on your periodic table have the names. So you know the word tungsten's on there. And it isn't up there on mine, so that's why you're having trouble. It's a weird one. Nah, I'm sorry, guys. It's W. Yeah. Do you want a little history for where I got that name? Okay, tungsten is an element that's found in nature, always mixed with other metals in what's called ore. We dig ore out of the ground, refine it to get metals that are pure, like iron ore gives pure iron, right? Well, tungsten's always mixed in with other elements, and when you try to refine the other elements, tungsten tends to ruin the refining process. It eats up the other element like a wolf. Its name is wolfram. Some of the names are interesting, you got to admit that. But anyway, you don't need any of that information. What's oxide every time, every day of the week? What charge? Yeah, it's 2 away from the neon, isn't it? Is that right? Yeah. So mix and match. My zinc answer, is my zinc answer way over there on the screen, do you think? I'm pretty sure I gave one. It is now done. Zinc was 3 times. PO4 was twice. This one, O is 2 minus. We're doing our crossing. We got 5 O's and 2 tungstens. W2O5. Oh, which element's boron? That's one of the first 20, so you won't have that one listed. It's just B. And this one, it tells you the name. Ooh, I jumped right to H. How are we supposed to figure out it's hydrogen, the other one? Well, the ide came from an element that started with the 4 letters HYDRO. That's 5 elements. 5 letters, sorry. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Hydrogen is hydride when it's an anion. And that's not a normal anion. Hydro acids are binary. I need H and 1 more element. Oh, and I picked the one that was the previous question, didn't I? Total accident, sorry. Yeah. Phosphorus acid. Which ion am I looking for? What is phosphite? PO3, 3 negative. All the phosphorus things are 3 negative, whether it's the element or the polyatomic ion. That should help you with phosphorus. If it's the element on the periodic table, it's P3 minus. And that is based on its position. Therefore, you know the number 3 goes with phosphorus all the time. Got it? So if it's PO3, it's PO3 3 minus. If it's PO4, it's PO4 3 minus. If it's P, it's P3 minus. And what's the cation for every acid? H with what charge? Yes, H plus. Crossing over, 1 phosphite, 3 H's. And barium hydroxide is just your Ba. What charge is Ba? second column near the bottom. Hydroxide is what it says, hydrogen oxide minus, right? I think you're used to seeing it like this. There you go. Crossing over, 1Ba, 2 hydroxides. And that's a strong base. I think all the hydroxides are strong bases except the ammonium hydroxide. We didn't know that last week. Yes. Stop and share. And